Okay, I took the vent pipe off of our new All-American canner, and we'll see if it's going to fit. That's the new vent stem, and your weight goes on top of that. I should have brought that out here too. And here's our old one. So let's see if it fits. I got the proper wrenches this time, and to put this on requires a 7/16. Want to make sure you don't strip the threads. The easiest way to make sure you never strip the threads, especially on aluminum, and this is like a stainless steel, which is very hard. If you cross thread it, you ruin the threads in there. So what you want to do is you want to go clockwise, so you, or counterclockwise. You got to go counterclockwise. Remember that now. You hear that little click? If I press on it and turn it counterclockwise, you can tell right there is where the two threads are interlocking. So once you go, I'm going counterclockwise here now. You hear that click? That's when you can try to thread it. See how it feels. See, now it's in there. I can't pull it out. So now I know I'm not cross-threaded or doing anything bad to it. So best thing to do is tighten it as best you can by hand. That's as best I can get. And I know it's good because you hear that click if you push on it. Sometimes you won't hear the click, but sometimes you'll feel it. And you'll know when you go, and you feel it. There you go. It went in real easy and it ain't coming out. So I know that's good. Tighten it as hard as you can by hand. Get the proper wrench. In this case it's a 7/16. Tighten it. Don't over tighten it because it's aluminum. Just nice and snug. If you see steam is going to go, you know. So if you put your weight on here, steam's coming out here, then you know, oh, I got to tighten it just a wee bit more. But steam is going to take the path of least resistance. So don't over tighten. And then you put your weight on. So I'm going to test this. I'm going to find the weight and put water in it, the right amount of water and the right amount in the jar, and we're going to put it on the fire, and we're going to see if we can maintain approximately 10 pounds of pressure for how long, sweetheart?
Depends on what you're cooking.
Depends on what you're cooking, so anywhere from 10 minutes to
90 minutes.
90 minutes if you're doing meat, right? Alrighty, that's going to be next. This is going to make a fire, fill this baby up, and see how it works. See if it'll blow up in our face. Okay, I have the weighted regulator here. Excuse my hands, been working in the garden. And this is an All-American weight, of course, for our All-American canner. But we're going to do an experiment too, because we picked these up at a yard sale. 50 cents. It's another weight. Or you might have an old, as we do too, we have some old pressure canners, pressure pots, and my wife actually had one explode on her, and that's why we went to an All-American. I can't remember the brand, she probably does. But this is a Miramatic, it says. But I'll bet you that this will work just as good as the American canner one. In other words, we're trying to just save some money here. I'd like to keep my $25 pressure cooker without buying all the extra parts. Of course, we're going to have to get the steam valve, but we're going to test it with this, see if it'll maintain 10 pounds on probably an old, probably the one that blew up on her. We're using that one to water the dogs now, the pot, and we'll see if it works. We'll do an experiment. Not recommended, but if you had to, maybe it'll work. So we'll try it. I want to show you something real quick while I'm making, getting the kindling and such that I made, and we hang things to cook in a cast iron pot off of there. But if you look down here, this has been here for a couple weeks. Look at that. It's starting to bud out of that plain stick that I cut down, sapling. And I was just thinking, wow, that reminds me of Aaron's rod. You ever hear the story of Aaron's rod? And Aaron, how his rod budded, this is a green stick, his was an old stick. Some of us know what that meant here when Aaron's rod budded. Just thought it kind of neat, thought I'd show you that, how I think we got her going now. So I got water in there now, and I got a canning jar in there now. And I just noticed something interesting on this old All-American canner. It's a number 7. It's 15.5 quarts. Is the gauge. That gauge is different than the new ones. I think it's better. But the newer one is just a regular gauge. This is tilted up a little bit in an angle. So you can see, I don't know how much better that old-fashioned one is, because if you have this on your stove, it's easier to see because it's tilted up towards you instead of being totally vertical. It's got a little bit of an angle there. Let's see if I can get you. There you go. Yeah, see? You can see that. That was tilted up. A little more user-friendly, I think. It's too bad they don't make them like that anymore. Yeah. Very clever. Okay, we have the pressure cooker on the stove. Okay, it just started jiggling, so I turned it back on. See if I can zoom in, show you the gauge. Started jiggling just under 10 pounds. Cooking outside on the camp stove. Well, seems to be working pretty good right now. It's creeping up a little over 9 pounds. It's going to be 10 pounds for sure. Maybe a little bit more. We'll get back. We got to add a little wood, I think. Okay, we're at 10 pounds. And it's jiggling non-stop, so maybe I shouldn't have added the extra wood. But that's what the regulator is for. It'll try to keep it within a safe range. Oh, it stopped. That's good, Mom. Now it's doing what it's supposed to do. Oh boy, that's perfect right there. Put in a little wet piece. And it'll take a while to heat up. So that might work out really good. Zoom back out. What are we at? Is it 11 pounds right now? Yeah, looks like about 11 pounds right now. Yep. Sounds good. So one of the key things you need to remember when you do this, I was fiddling around with it before I turned the camera on, is you got to try to get it as level as you can. So I shimmed it up with rocks and things until you get it good and level, and then the jiggler works really good. If it wasn't level, it still worked. It was still within good pressure, but it was just hissing, and, you know, a lot louder than it is right now, because it was trying to relieve the pressure and maintain the, 11 pounds is what it was at. But now that I got it fairly level, it's acting pretty much like it does on the stove. You can see I have the grill on, but then when I added a lot of wood, I had a lot of flames coming up, and I didn't want these to melt. So I just found some scrap metal here, thin metal, and I put that underneath just to stop the flames from coming up and causing problems. And now that the fire burned down, these are probably not necessary anymore, but I'm going to keep them there since I don't want to move it. So if you have a really good bed of coals, all you need is the grill. But if you're like me, you keep throwing in too much wood, and you got a big fire, then you might need a little plate here, some sheet metal, so you won't melt your knobs. Melting knobs is not a good thing.